curious because you've been really active in your Catholic faith community, and you mentioned this a little bit about focusing on mental health a few minutes ago. And I'm curious about how you see positive discipline complementing the work that you've done, particularly in mental health and suicide prevention.
Well, we've talked about connection, belonging, being part of something, and that when you look at um, research statistics, um, in 2022, the Dr. Vivek, U.S. Surgeon General, he declared the epidemic of loneliness.
Mm.
So it's important again to remember that we're not doing this alone, and that it is important to be part of something bigger, right? To belong, to be loved. And that, in essence, may be a big factor, play a positive factor in prevention, and the
Yeah.
prevention of suicide, of loneliness. You have to belong. You have to feel like you belong somewhere and that you're loved and that you're welcomed. And if, as a parent, we're working towards building, this relationship, this is a great way to do it, to build this relationship with someone who is very important to you, your child. Um, so when we talk about prevention, also, as a parent, going back to, we may feel like it's a struggle. It's come to a place where it's challenging to parent your child for whatever reason. Um, that could impact your own wellness
Yes.
and many other things happening around, because it isn't just parenting, but it will allow you the opportunity to sit back and reflect, why also as a parent am I reacting, what else is happening around me
Mhm.
that I may not be making the best decisions as a parent right now, with this big responsibility that is parenting. So we have to look at our own wellness. How well am I to come and do this big job, to show up as that good parent that I want to be?
Mm.
So it's important to sit back and take a look at and do a little evaluate, self-reflection, self-evaluation. How well am I? And invest in yourself. We all, when we think about investment, we sometimes think about, like, finances and stock market, but investing in yourself is, and to be, a better parent, whatever your goal is, to be a better parent, to, grow in some area, this is a great investment, to take the time to sit with others and learn together and grow together, because they're on the same boat as you. They want to get better. They realize that they wanted, um, and needed an opportunity to sit with others that are also going through the same journey, the same challenges as you, maybe a little different, but, regarding parenting. And this is a great opportunity, invest in yourself as a parent, because it does have to do with your development, and it helps us with purpose. What is my purpose? When we start thinking about purpose, well, then when you look at it that way, like, my purpose, if you want it to be a goal of yours, is to improve in one area, to be a little bit more of a better listener, be a little bit more compassionate.
Mm.
Again, positive discipline is a great way. And if it's a place that you want to start, it's a great place to start. It really is.
Mm.
So I would highly encourage any parent to invest in themselves in this way, to take the opportunity to learn, and grow and continue to grow, and not stop growing. Oftentimes, when we think about, prevention, or finding ways that we say that we need to fix something, and intervention is great. It works. It's there. It's available to us. We can resort to therapy, or, family counseling. But oftentimes, what is necessary is connection. Coming back to connection.
Yeah.
um, how well is that relationship? How is that going? And we ought to look at that. We ought to pay attention to that. And I know you and I have had a conversation around, like, levels of care. Not
Yeah.
every one kiddo or person needs the same level of care.
Right.
and we want to work right towards, we don't want it to get that bad, to that place of it's bad. I'm
Mhm.
I'm 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 happy that speaking of levels of care that there are available,
Oh, of
okay,
course.
intervention and counselors, and but again, when we invest in ourselves, in how can I, because the relationship is between you and your child, or you and that the loved one, and you and that person, you need to work on that together,
Right.
and again, connection before correction, um being more proactive, and when and if intervention isn't necessary, be happy that that is available, and
Absolutely.
know that you can resort to that. But as parents, as educators, as social service agency, workers, this is available to us to learn how to, again, mitigate and those risks, that exist, those risk
And
factors that
and
are existing.
and
But
something you just said made me think too that when we have this level of connection and trust in our family, if our child is experiencing something that requires an intervention, if they're experiencing mental health challenges, depression, anxiety, if some of that's beginning to set in, and we have a solid level of trust, they are much more likely to share with us that they are having a problem when it's this big, or even when it's this big, but before it's this big. And intervention, if we can start here when it's this big, we can get much more proactive in that intervention. If it's mental health support in some way, with counseling, with medication if we need to,
yeah.
but we can get ahead of it at a much quicker rate when we have that trust and connection in our families. And so that helps our child. It mitigates the experience of mental illness. And we also have tools for, again, having conversation, talking
Hmm.
about problems when they're coming up. Okay,
Yeah.
so this doesn't feel good. Okay, let's go back and get some more help with this. So it's not that we don't ever want interventions, we want them, and different
Hmm.
tiers of interventions depending on the need,
Yeah.
but we're more likely to be able to get ahead of them at a quicker pace when we have all these tools in place for use in our family, so that our family is coming from a place of connection and goals of achieving mentally healthy families.
Yeah, and it's important, Ava, to,
Hmm.
as parents, that part of these, there's a lot of things happening around us. So as a parent, I never want to make a parent feel like you're not trying, you're not doing, because again, there may be factors, external factors outside of your home, when you're trying and investing in your immediate home, and this is how we want structure in our and routine in our immediate home. There are external factors, there just are, that could
Right.
impact and influence, have an influence on your child, and affect their behaviors. So again, it's never to say, a parent is not trying or doing enough, because there are many factors that may impact and influence a child's behavior.
Right.
But again, like back to your point, if we are investing in these stronger relationships, building trust, the hope lies in that, because we've worked on this together as a family, this trust exists, the likelihood of them coming and to you to tell you about it is a lot higher, right? Is
Mhm.
it'll have a more positive impact.
Yeah.
That
And
is
I'm
my
so
hope.
glad yeah, and I'm so glad you said that about blame, because I think it's so easy as a parent that when my child is experiencing a problem, especially depression, anxiety, ADHD, whatever it is that my child is experiencing, it's easy for us as parents to say, somehow this is my fault. If I had just done this, or if I just done that, then my child wouldn't be suffering from this experience. And that's just not the case. Like you said, there are external factors, there can be genetic factors. A lot of mental illness is genetically based, and then
Hmm.
certain life factors, life triggers that kind of turn on that DNA to say, "Pff, now we've activated the anxiety, or we've activated the depression at whatever age or event in your child's life." This is never about blaming the parent. This is always about saying, we're all doing the best we can with the tools that we have.
Hmm.
What other tools can we give you that will help you navigate this path with your child so that you're arm in arm, you're
Yeah.
linked together, and you're walking together along what can be a very difficult path sometimes.
Yeah.
And
And remind your kiddo, we're gonna do this together.
yes,
Okay. We're gonna journey, we're gonna do this together, we're gonna figure this out together.
yeah,
Because that it's important that your child is included in the decision making, to be part of it. uh, because going back to autonomy, right? We want to make choices for ourselves. You can allow them that in a safe way. Okay, well, you get to choose, whether you use the tool cards or something else, but it's important. And that's part of continued relationship building.
yeah,
We can talk about so much,
I
that
know.
that is the beauty of parenting. And I do firmly believe there's a lot of beauty in it. I mean, you get to see this child grow, and you play a big part in that as a parent, as a caregiver, as a
Yeah.
teacher, right? As an educator, a social worker, you're journeying with these families and with this kiddo, and you play an important part, in being that teacher, and help them manage themselves. I do want to remind us that, right? Like, how do
Yeah.
we help them manage themselves? And we use those terms, what is regulation, how to regulate their emotions and things like that. um, in trauma work, we talk a lot about co-regulation, how we can become co-regulators when we walk alongside someone. We can support them
Yeah.
in their journey.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Thank you, Marisa.